Hello friends, welcome back to Design Talks YouTube channel. In previous video we learned about values, which was one of the fundamentals of art, and in today's video we are going to see how to use these values while drawing portrait. For that I have taken a 3D model of a human face here. It shows different planes of a human face. We will look in detail about these planes and anatomy of human face in another video. Now we are not going to look about that. We are just going to look how to give these values in this human head. This will be more better to understand than a normal face because it is divided into each plane and we can look how the light reacts to each plane. In previous videos about light and 3D form, we already mentioned that while drawing an object, we should first imagine the imaginary light source from where the light is coming. By looking at the shadows here, we can understand that the light source in this image is coming from this direction. That is, all the shading will depend upon this light source from this position. Suppose there was a sphere in this area, how will the shading will be? Just like we have mentioned in the previous video, if this sphere is placed in this light, we will give highlight here, then comes direct light, then comes direct light, then midtone and then core shadow, and here the portion opposite to the light source where light is not received, where light is blocked, we have the cast shadow of the sphere. If there is reflected light, it will appear in this side. The same principle can be applied to the head here also. Not only for drawing head, for any objects the same principle can be applied. The difference is that the sphere was a single simple object, geometric object, but the head is a combination of simple objects. For example, here we can see that the head as a whole is a oval and the nose is a separate object and the neck can be observed as a separate cylinder and ears as a separate shape, etc. All these simple shapes together form the head. When we give the shading according to the slide for each of these simple shapes separately, we can apply this principle correctly. We have already learned about how to give the values in the sphere in detail in previous video, so if you haven't watched them, do watch it first. I will leave the link to the previous video in the description. So when the light is coming from this direction, it first hits this plane over here. With first we can apply the values to this main oval shape of this head. First we are constructing the main oval shape of the head, and this portion, this plane will receive the more direct light and it is the highlight. Just like the example of the sphere where the highlight appears in this same area. The whole this half of the face receives light, but more light is received over this area and thus it is direct light. Then all these portions which do not receive direct light but all receives light indirectly, so this portion is the midtone of the face, which will be the original color of our skin. It's similar to the sphere, just like this: highlight, direct light, midtone. Now we can mark the core shadow. The opposite half of where the light is coming, it does not receive any light and thus it is darker side, which is the core shadow. If suppose here there was a wall, the light from the light source would be reflected from hitting the wall and there will be reflected light on this portion of the face. But here in this example there is no such wall, so there is only less reflected light. I have marked the full shading of the head here. The area marked with light blue lines will be the highlight. In the sphere also it is marked almost in the same portion, and the green color marked portion will receive direct light. In the sphere it will be this portion, and this area marked with orange lines will receive light which is spread from the light source. Thus it is midtone and it will have the original value of the object. In the sphere it is this area, and the dark blue lines shaded area does not receive any light, that is one half of the face and under the chin does not receive light because it is coming from above, just like the core shadow of the sphere. So this area will be the core shadow, and the cast shadow of the head falls to the neck and some to the surface below it, that is marked in purple or pink color here. Here the shadow of the head falls on another object, that is the neck and the surface below it, thus it is cast shadow. Now we have learned about shading the head according to this particular light. Now we can look how to shade the nose and neck. Nose can be taken as a separate object, and since the light is from this direction, this will be the direct light portion, and here comes the mid-tone portion, and the opposite side of the light, that is this area under the nose, will be the shadow, that is core shadow. We should study this lighting and values by taking each separate parts of the face as separate simple objects. Similarly, if we take the neck as separate cylinder, this area receives more light and it will be the direct light area, and this area will be mid-tone, and here some portion is the cast shadow of the face and the other half does not receive any light, so it is the core shadow. This can be applied not only for head but it is applicable for any object. We should consider the lighting first and apply this values to the object to make the 3D illusion. Depending on the direction of the light, these values and shadows also change. Here I will show another example about changing the direction of the light, about how the change in direction affects the values and shadows. In the example here of a girl's portrait, we can see that as the light moves from left to right, the shadows also change according to light. Not only the shadows, the highlight, midtone and shadows change according to the light. So we should always consider the direction of the light before before giving this shading to any object. The darkest value will be given for the shadows areas and the lightest value will be given for the highlight areas. In a real face, these planes will not be correctly visible. It will be blended smoothly since our skin is soft and smooth. So first, if we try studying these values in this plane head, it will be more easy to practice, and then we can move on to realistic faces. In the next video, I will be applying these values on a real portrait. So see you in the next video. Hope this video was helpful for you. Leave your comments below. Have a nice day. Bye.